All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Present.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
Here.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman Ward.
Here.
Supervisor Heck.
Here. Notation exits in the front and the rear. An electronic device, please put it on vibrate. And make a motion to come out of the executive session. No action was taken.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to go into the work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First item on the agenda is discussion for the traffic light on Route 22. Is anyone here to speak to that issue? Okay, the town board was approached by the shopping center where Sinopes is located, Palmer Hardware, there's a beer store there. What else is there?
7 stars.
No. Well, now, we're talking about one shopping center, because there only could be a light center in front of one particular road. So at any rate, is there anyone here to speak to that?
Actually, I think the town was contacted by a resident
Yes.
who was upset that they couldn't get out of that.
Yes.
I don't know if it wasn't necessarily, there are people here that
Well, I was-
are tenants that,
Okay, so basically what we're gonna be doing on this issue. Putnam County has a traffic safety board. We have a representative here, John Lord, and I've asked him to go to the traffic safety board and bring this issue to them with the location and what may or may not be done there. He'll come back to us with a report to find out the number of accidents and what their thoughts are on whether or not a traffic light is there. If their opinion is that we should make an attempt to do that, we will do that. So, John, can you bring that to the traffic safety board on behalf of the town?
I'll bring that to them.
And then report back to us what you find out with the total number of accidents, whatever happens there, and we in turn will make it aware of it. Go?
Good, yeah, I'll get that on the agenda. They would probably have to do a study to figure out the accidents and then probably come back to us with a DOT decision on whether it's feasible or not. But yeah, I'll bring it to their attention.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure, come on up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Samperi. I own Sinappi's Pizzeria and Restaurant. So, in regards to the woman who contacted you, I'm assuming she was a resident, and I don't know. I don't know the backstory to her, but what I can tell you is I've owned Sinappi's for 9 years now. Been working. I'm there for almost 10 years, to be honest with you, and through the course of the 10 years, I've seen numerous accidents. And what I would say, one of the biggest complaints I get about that strip mall that we're in is nobody can make a left turn out of there without inching out and causing another accident, because the problem is it's not wide enough. And I definitely understand as far as the traffic light being there's going to be way too much congestion because there's one literally down the road and one down by M&T Bank. So I could just tell you, like, since September, I've witnessed 5 accidents there alone. And I don't know if there could be like a turn-only lane. I mean, that's just the number one complaint I get from my customers. I don't know, I can't speak for anyone else because I think I'm the only one here from the strip mall. So that's just the number one complaint that I get.
Well, maybe if the residents of the center itself, all the businesses, maybe contact the owner who has the store there as well, to put a no left-hand turn. A sign could be put up very easily without a problem. Because I know when I come up to visit, whether I get a pizza or in Palmer Hardware, where I go the most, and a pizzeria, when I come out, if someone's already parked down there, they're trying to make a left, I go straight across at the opening there through 7 Stars,
Right.
and then I make a right. I always make a right. I don't try to fight traffic.
Right.
A lot of people then go down to the light A&P,
And then
make a
come back
U-turn,
around.
and come back. It's a pain in the neck?
Yeah.
Yes, it's much safer, and there's no need for a problem, so to speak.
No, I agree.
And I do want to say, I had a meeting on something else with the DOT today, and I was thinking of this problem, and I brought it up
with the DOT. And just so you're aware, I think this really needs to be followed up by John, but the DOT was saying that right now, especially unless there's another road involved, that it usually the cost of the light or the traffic improvements falls to the businesses there. But let's look into it, let's see where it goes before we get ahead of ourselves and see what's gonna make sense there. And I know John will follow this up for you.
Thank you.
And when we're ready for that, I'll make Palmer Hardware aware of it so he can tell all the tenants when we get a resolve on it, okay?
Lori Bell, I've wondered and wished for a center turn lane between the traffic light at the Lakeview Plaza up to just where Sinappi's then comes in, we could have a center turn lane. And I know there's shoulder on both sides. It's not as much shoulder as I'm sure DOT would love, but I know that center turn lane up in Patterson and into Pauling has made a huge difference up there. Even if you can people are doing it anyway. You're scooting over to the yellow line, people are passing you on the shoulder anyway. If DOT could see whether or not a designated center turn lane would fit there, I think that would solve a lot of the turning problems.
They consider it a suicide lane.
Well, I know that's what it's
And John is
badly
writing that,
referred to
John is
as.
writing that down, so he'll be bringing it up to the Traffic Safety Board.
Yeah.
Good, it's a good suggestion.
I just know that, it works really well further up, and it's even less congested up there, but it definitely made a difference, like turning in and out, say, the Hannafords and the KFC Plaza and, the car dealership, and so if we could have that here where it's even more congested,
And
might
I
be a
agree.
Band-Aid, but I think it would help.
I agree, but the other thing I was told by the DOT, which wasn't really encouraging, but they are really in solely maintenance modes now. They have no major improvements planned. So
Yeah, that
John
doesn't
will
surprise me.
certainly ask, and I think it would be helpful, but
Yeah.
we'll follow up on it.
Yeah, they're gonna be on pothole duty like for the next 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Just to reiterate what Tony said, I was gonna say that same exact thing. When I go to the strip mall to go buy pizza or whatever, I just always make the right. Unless it's super early in the morning and there's no traffic, I think it's safer. It's a little bit out of your way, but just go down a quarter mile, kind of make a U-turn. And I know it may be inconvenient for people, but I really think that's the safest thing right now, because, again, we're not gonna get a traffic light anytime soon, at least,
Hi, Peter Bell. I just happened to read in the paper now that Patterson is looking to reduce the speed on 22 between Watchtower and 311, because it's now 55 miles an hour. So I just wanted to reiterate to you, John, that I think it was last meeting, you guys voted to send a letter to DOT about the speed limit from 684 up to Milltown.
It was more like last year. We've done it, it's on record. We want to go from basically 684 to the Patterson line to reduce it. As soon as you're coming up by the state DOT there.
Yeah, yeah.
Reduce it, so it's 55, bring it to 45, and before you get to Lamanistas, make it 45 to the Patterson line. That's been our request.
Yeah,
But
no, I
there's-
just wanted to say it again to John, so when he's talking about all these other things with traffic lights and what have you, to make sure that they know that, because now Patterson is doing it.
Yeah.
So it looks like they want to go all the way through to Pauling to leave it at 45 miles an hour.
And they should.
Yeah.
And this area more like 35 because of all the activities in this short area. And then once you get up by Red Rooster and that whole stretch, it's
This-
got to be reduced.
This parking lot on Court Day is horrific. It is probably one of the most dangerous places on Route 22, because even though it says no left turn, people are making lefts. People are coming down 55, 60 miles an hour coming north, and then it's tough to see who's coming south on that. So I think, reducing the speed limit absolutely would make a difference, but it's gotta be before there's 35, because nobody does 35.
Thank you.
They don't even do 50.
Do until they get the ticket.
Okay, anyone else to that matter? Okay. Next item on the agenda is discussion with the highway superintendent. There's a list of items that he wishes to discuss, and we'll let him take it from there.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What I've just handed you is a proposal for what we call a 284 agreement, which is an agreement for the town board to approve the disbursement of funds allocated to the highway department. The first line item is general repairs, which includes repairs and rebuilding of sluices, culverts, bridges, roadways, boardwalks, and the like, which is all of our drainage systems, all of our patch and repair, shimming of roads, some blacktopping of roads exclusive of the funds that we use through, that we directly get from the state through the emergency winter repairs, through our CHIPS funding, and a couple of others. I've listed some of the roads and that I would like to treat this year. Most of these roads are within the budget that we have right now without allocating any other funds. It would be for a process that many are familiar with, but I'll quickly describe. It's called a fiber mat. It's essentially a layer of hot asphalt that's distributed on the road, which seals the road and the moisture out entirely. And it's immediately followed in the same machine by a layer of densely chopped up fiberglass strands that are blown into a pattern that crisscross, so to speak. It's immediately followed by a second layer of liquid asphalt to seal them in, and it's followed by a course of very fine pea stone that gets rolled into the hot liquid asphalt, thereby creating an extremely well-sealed road and an extremely high traction road. The aggregate gets placed so that when it's rolled in, that especially good on hills, turns, and highways that require a little better traction. It's a very cost-effective way of sealing our roads, and sealing being the #1 issue with maintaining our roads that have good solid base. You seal the water out, it prevents the frost from heaving them in the wintertime and cracking the roads and degrading their integrity. So the half a dozen roads that I mentioned, with the addition of one paving road that our town would do in-house. It's a very small piece of roadway that the equipment we have can handle rather nicely. In addition to this, there's nothing written, but as we all know, the 284 agreements are designed to be modified as often as necessary at town board meetings to accommodate the changing needs, which could be although we've had a relatively easy winter right now, the high water levels that are in the ground and under our roads, and cold temperatures where typically this time of year through February is our coldest portion of the year, our roads could degrade very quickly. An assessment of our roads at the end of March will tell us a lot better what we should be addressing than what we really know right now. That's why in the past I've always brought these proposals to you, town board, after the spring thaws, and we could take a good assessment of our roads and how well the roads fared for the winter. That said, there are other candidates that I would like to look into, which would probably amount to 5 to 8 miles of re-blacktopping that would probably go out to bid. And I would propose that we pay for that if we could come to a figure that the town board would see suitable. We do have quite a lot of money in the town highway reserve account that I would like to allocate this year to re-blacktop roads that are at that point of starting to break down. And by that I mean we assess our roads on a graded value, and when a road gets much below a 60 or 65, it typically degrades very quickly and it no longer becomes a candidate for re-blacktopping or capping. You look at typically full depth reclamation that would be about 3 times the cost of a blacktop cap. So if we could talk about it at another meeting, I just want to let you know that I would like to utilize some of those funds, and the more we use, the more roads we can get done and get back in good shape before they deteriorate to a point where they're no longer usable.
So you said you had 5.8 miles of another additional road?
528, I think.
528, okay.
Yeah.
I could produce a list of roads. Most of them would be in smaller developments, and we've used this fiber mat process in different roadways and with mixed degrees of pleasure to the residents. And at this point, I would probably not use it in smaller developments with cul-de-sacs, as it's really designed for longer, straighter roads. And all the roads described tonight are that type of road, be it Brewster Hill or Nichols Road. There's very little turning traffic. It's all through traffic. They wear very well, and that's why I selected the roads that are on that list.
And the 5 to
8,
Yeah,
5 to 8 miles, whatever. The more money you give me, the more we'll pave.
And would that be with our people, or?
No, that would
be out to
would-
bid?
It would go out to bid.
Okay.
And Mike, you mentioned this, so I'm going to, and I am not second guessing you, you're the elected highway superintendent, but we have had a lot of complaints, I don't know if they've settled down, on fiber mat. So I know you're aware of it, but I just want to bring it up so people know that we are, I
think
mean, I have
yeah,
some concerns.
that's why I just mentioned that
Right.
in developments, it has a coarse aggregate that they use. People maintain if they walk their pets or whatever,
Right.
that they find it mildly offensive. Some go to a higher degree than that, but after about a year of service,
I know it, Brian, yeah.
it essentially looks like blacktop. It's only throughout the first few months that it's fresh and you can smell the oil. But that's why I selected the large roads. For public sentiment, will stay out of the smaller developments and use blacktop in those areas.
So you-
Blacktop or a couple of other processes.
So you don't find it on like a higher trafficked road that it's a hazard at all, or just in the beginning till everything's?
It's 100% beneficial, and the reason being that some of the roads that we have, they move a little bit in the wintertime, and that's where the fiber in it bonds the process to the road. It doesn't ever peel, and it wears very well. Like I said, it's on hills. We did it on Sherwood Hill and Settlers Hill, and it's just extremely good traction in the wintertime, and on wet roads as well.
Okay, all right.
For the layman, which I am, and anything I know, it's only because I've asked questions, but just, obviously, people prefer blacktop, but obviously there's more of an expense to that. But the fiber mat, I believe the way you've explained it is that it's for certain roads that are already in good condition, and then you're able to preserve them so that you extend their shelf life, for lack of a better way of saying it. Would that be correct, just for clarification? And
That is correct, and where there are what we call alligatoring, where you can see small cracks in the road, the oils, the liquid oil that goes down in those cracks and seals them, where if you did even a 3-inch blacktop cap on that same road, often in a year or two, it mirrors what is below. So it's a process that if we were to do the same road that we're going to do the fiber mat on in blacktop, we would likely have to mill it and take off that top layer at a much greater expense.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
There's a few other things I would like to address off of this. I know there was another subject that you wanted to talk about, was Maple Road. Do you want to discuss that in its entirety now, and then?
I think a brief overview would be really helpful. What we've encouraged, I've talked to the people who want to pave, the people who don't, and they know that they'll have an opportunity to weigh in once we really know more. But if you could update us on what you found out, what's possible right now, whatever you know and you can share with us right now, I think would be the most helpful.
There's a few possibilities. We discussed, and there was a project that preceded me where there was proposed, actually a restoration of an existing connection between the original Enoch Crosby Road and Kelly Road in Carmel.
Correct.
And it hit a lot of problems, but the fact of the matter remains that it is a town road, lies virtually entirely in the town of Southeast. All the repairs would take place in the town of Southeast. And I think it goes back to probably 2000 and probably close to 8 or 9, 10 years ago. I don't have the exact date. And the long and short of it was that it got challenged by the town of Carmel as to whether it was viable to the town of Carmel to reopen that road, which would essentially take everyone who lives in the Enoch Crosby and Deer Court area and allow them to enter and exit on a fully paved road.
Correct.
Without doing anything to Maple Road.
Right.
And at the time, it went to court, and it was, the court apparently decided to make Carmel, the town of Carmel, the lead agency in the process, that there are people who question the legality of that, and if anybody wants to look back into that, I have all the engineering that was done. It was complete and ready for, it was, I believe, DEP and DEC approved at the time, and it would just be a matter of making the town of Southeast the lead agency on a project that takes place in their town and is going to be funded by their town, and essentially they should have been the lead agency all along. And we have our town attorney who could fill us in on the legalities of it, but I think it's certainly a possibility to do that. Whether that would please all the residents and leave Maple Road in virtually the condition it's in, I'm not sure, but once again, the engineering that was done on Maple Road called for paving from the paved portion on the Carmel end to Enoch Crosby Road, approximately, I guess 2,300 feet, something in that neighborhood. The biggest difficulty in that project was it's situate right exactly on the Middle Branch Reservoir, and the DEP was very concerned with runoffs from pervious surfaces. So to pave the road and have runoff, it had to be treated. And our town engineers came up with a very nice program where all of the existing runoffs from the adjoining properties that's currently piped to the reservoir be continued to be piped in that fashion, and they would collect all the waters on the new impervious surface, bring it to a treatment, and only have to treat far less water than the total amount of runoff. Current figures are, I mean, I take a stab at it. I think we're in the, without a lot of labor being provided by the highway department, going back 8, 9, 10 years, or more, was in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. Most everything's gone up about a third in that amount of time. So
Mike, was that for the drainage and the paving?
that was drainage and paving both, yes.
And that was to be clear, from Enoch Crosby Road north going, it was not for the entire road.
It was not the entire road,
Right.
no.
Okay, I just want to be clear
I
about that.
think that was a happy medium
Right.
between
That's correct.
both parties, some who wished for paving and
Some
some
who
who wished against it, so.
Right.
Mike, what was the estimate again? What was it, 300 to 400, you said? What was the estimate?
I believe it was $374,000 back at that time. So realistically, you could probably add a third to 33 to 40, 45%. I mean, certainly you could get you accurate figures if there was enough interest to bring this to fruition.
I didn't know if you were done going through that, but I just was curious. I saw actually on Facebook this morning that somebody that lives up there posted that Maple was icy, and I think it's, typical for a dirt road like that. Do you guys find that you're having to maintain that road a lot more because of its condition?
Dirt roads are without a doubt the most difficult roads to maintain, and the constant grading and the addition of more materials, be it item 4, to fix the potholes. It would, I don't know that there was a study done, but an amazing amount of the item 4, the stone dust, goes out in the reservoir. If you go out on a hot summer day and walk that road, you would almost think you could walk across the reservoir when there's a wind, because it just picks up the fines and takes them off the road, puts them out in the reservoir where they don't belong. The DEP agrees that they are not in favor of item 4 roads, but it's the next best thing to having a impervious road. There are other options. As of late, we've had a lot of millings available from state projects that we may look into putting millings over the top of the item 4, which is essentially ground blacktop. And the DEP does not consider millings in place a impervious surface. They still consider it pervious. So there's a second option that may be a happy medium for everyone. It wears well. You still have to pothole it. One of the more difficult, when you said the ice, when the dirt gets frozen and maintains sub-freezing temperatures, all the moisture that collects to it freezes. And what I've done in past, we got used to pouring egregious amounts of salt on the dirt roads. Being salt, item 4, they are pervious. When you put crystals of salt and they liquefy, they just burrow down into the surface of the dirt road and don't sufficiently melt ice. The way salt is designed is to melt on the surface of impervious road and make a pool of liquid salt water, whether it's the ice or the snow that melts on it. It creates that layer of liquid salt, and when the traction of the cars grind the snow up, it melts the snow, and it actually creates warming temperatures. It doesn't have that opportunity on dirt roads or on item 4 roads, because it just sinks right in. And in doing so, it also softens the surface of the road, which makes it almost impossible to plow. And when the cars drive on it, the salt turns the top half-inch or inch into mud, and it just gets picked up by the cars. It creates potholes.
Would it be possible to get an estimate of what it costs to maintain the dirt road? Is it that dirt portion?
I actually have them. We'd have to do an upgraded version, but there was a study done for Maple Road that Nathaniel Jacobson did many years ago, and there is a comparison in there that I mean, it's a massive stack of papers to go through, and I get through them as much as I can when I have spare time, but I did see a study that they did. They did traffic studies and studies of maintaining dirt versus maintaining blacktop, and I think the state has done studies on them as well. It's just infinitely cheaper to maintain blacktop roads.
Except that when you figure in the every 20 years repaving, that brings the cost of them to about par, is always what I've read. But
I think those costs are factored in as well. So one study that I saw, the repave was factored in.
Not the ones I've read, but in
Okay.
any case, on Maple Road, I want to be clear on this, who is going to do the research on possibly going through to Kelly, so we go, extending into Crosby? I want to know how that's going to get done, who's going to do it, so we're all clear on this and we don't waste time on how we go forward. Or is that something you don't want to entertain at all? I mean, this is your call, you're the highway superintendent, so.
It is and it isn't. With the public sentiment on that road, I would have paved from end to end a long time ago. And I know that as of late, they just throwing it out there was a discussion about paving the north end and removing the existing blacktop on the south end for almost an equal amount. And both myself and the higher-ups in the DEP feel that it would be counterproductive to remove any existing blacktop that's already there. It's been piped, it's been accepted, and the DEP actually doesn't have a trade-off agreement. If you had a commercial driveway where you wanted to remove 1,000 square feet of blacktop in one area of parking and add it somewhere else, they only consider the additions. They don't consider the subtractions.
Right.
So it wouldn't be a benefit to the town.
Right, it's not a trade-off and you don't get credit. But my question remains, where are we going with pursuing, are we going anywhere with pursuing, and who's doing that? The opening possibilities, the costs, and, I mean, obviously, we don't want to beat our heads against a wall again, but I need to know, so.
I think that's why I'm here tonight, to
Right.
get your opinions and see if you'd like me to pursue, as the highway superintendent, the paving of, the millings of, or that north section
Well,
and the intersection at, there were two separate studies. One was including the intersection at Maple and Enoch.
Right.
And the other one was just the paving of that end. And in addition to looking into the Kelly Road extension.
Well, I think what serves our residents best, and this is just my opinion, is that we can all make better decisions if we know what everything's going to, what our choices are and what they're going to cost. So if we can look to you to provide those figures, I think that would be really helpful. I don't know how the board feels on that, but to me, that would be, is the logical way to go. I mean, obviously, I have a vested interest in this, but I don't think we can make good decisions without knowing all three probabilities. What does everyone else
I'd be
think?
happy to get you some current
Yeah. Is that fine with everyone?
costs for that.
Yes.
I think that would really help when we have a general meeting too, so that people who want it paved understand the cost, and the people who don't. I mean, I just think we'll all reach a much better decision, and I know it's work for you, but I would really appreciate it.
Just knowing full well, it's very, very time consuming, and if those figures would help you, I'd be happy to get them for you. But if there was not gonna be any consideration of doing that work, I would say that it would be a waste of time, so.
Well, I think we had reached the conclusion last time, and I won't
Right, then I
speak for
won't-
everyone on Maple, that they really did like the Kelly Road solution. I can't say that they all do now, but I think everyone, would want to know the costs involved with that, and with the probability and everything, and with the paving of the northern end. I don't think it's feasible, and I think there'd be a lot of opposition to paving the entire road, in my opinion. So I don't want to put you out to that extent, but if, whatever you'd like to do, when we hold a meeting where everyone can, speak, I think that would really hold a lot of
I
weight.
think we, in all fairness, there've been a lot of meetings held in the past. If the decision's made to pave it, it should be made by this town board and the highway superintendent. and-
Oh, yes,
and,
yes, that's absolutely true. But
Get on
I
with
would
the
be
pave.
interested in hearing everyone.
So if you want Kelly Road, you want that to be the priority to check that first? There's no sense doing all three options. Let's deal with the one that's most lucrative or less expensive, and then go down.
Well, that was
Well, what if
the path everyone wanted to take last time,
So
as
that's-
I recall.
so-
John, isn't that correct or not?
Make that the priority one and put that
Yeah.
one first. If that fails, we
fine,
go-
if,
Come down the list.
I think there was a legal challenge, and I think that, I'm not sure what the,
I can weigh in on this.
yeah, please.
I was
Many
gonna
years
say, I
ago,
thought the
uh,
town
when
actually
it was-
blocked the road.
It was the.
Well, the road
Carlos-
has been blocked for many years.
Yeah,
It was semi-abandoned, it wasn't maintained, going back 30, 40, 50 years. Once Crosby Hills was developed, and the increased amount of traffic that resulted from that development, using Maple Road, there was a lot more interest in alternatives. And I'm not sure who the highway superintendent was at the time, it may have been Jim Waller. It may have been
Dick Palmer.
Dick Palmer.
It was in the 80s.
No, I believe Jim Waller was the first one to look into it, and actually Kevin Farmer was the one that
Right.
put the last big effort into
Yes.
it.
But just so you understand the procedural aspect of, and I'll call it the legal procedural aspect of it, when we were going forward with the plans to develop it, re-extend or reopen Kelly Road, Enoch Crosby into Kelly Road, which shows on historic maps as being a road. I mean, even
Yes.
that map in the back of the road, back of the courtroom shows that as a through road into town of Carmel. The town of Carmel sued the town of Southeast for an injunction. And one of the allegations was that we hadn't fully completed the State Environmental Quality Review Act review of this proposed action, which we didn't agree. And the judge finally resolved that you have to go back and start from scratch, do the environmental review over again. So when we circulated the intent to declare lead agency, Carmel challenged and claimed that they should be the lead agent. It was then referred by statute to the commissioner of DEC, who at the time was Pete Granis. And Pete Granis ruled that Carmel should be the lead agency. And that's where it sits
Right.
today. Carmel did nothing to fulfill its obligation as lead agency. And the matter basically, whether people lost interest or whether the town didn't want to undertake the additional expense. But if you're going to look at that option again, take into consideration that I believe it was Supervisor Schmidt at the time said that that road would be reopened over his dead body.
Right.
So that you can expect that they will gear up to to fight us at every turn, because they want to keep Kelly Road as a cul-de-sac.
Right.
Would it be possible to appeal back to the DEC and get the lead agency changed too? Or is there any
Well, I think
mechanism to
we
do
would
that?
probably have to commence the proceedings all over again, because the matter is now stale, I would say. And we would undertake those proceedings once again, presuming that Carmel will challenge, and we could see what happened. And maybe at that point, if they rule the same way, you certainly have an Article 78 proceeding to challenge the termination of the DEC commissioner, who is not Pete Granis any longer.
And what kind of costs would that, beginning that kind of procedure?
As far as the legal aspect of it?
Yeah,
Well, it only starts costing money when somebody goes into court.
okay.
And, to tell you how long it would take I would be guessing. The time, the amount of hours, whether we'd have to hire special counsel for something like this, I don't know.
Okay, but it's, okay, thank you.
I would just, again, there's people who love the road, people who want it paved, don't want it paved. I thought that one of the compromises we've kind of talked about, and I don't know, I got friends who live up there, but I don't know what you really call the north side or whatever, but I thought the compromise was kind of just to pay from checks on down to the other way. Is that the north side? Is that what you're talking about?
North was from Enoch Crosby Road towards Putnam Plaza, that going,
So hang in the
Yes.
left, yeah, okay. Yeah, so I would just rather, if we were gonna look into anything, that would be my vote, to ask Mike, see what that cost is,
and last time we did, at that time, and Paul Marini has instructed us otherwise, that fell apart because the DEP, at that time, apparently was like, can't be done, or there was too much, but we can, I have no problem looking into that again.
I think we've worked out some time ago the problems with the DEP, and they are agreeable to paving that portion with the proper treatment of the runoff.
Right,
And,
that was the
that was-
problem last time, was the runoff.
But the engineering's been done on that. Like I said, right now, it's just a matter of putting the current costs together, and I could present that to you, and if you're interested, I will look into millings on the same thing. We have them on a couple of other roads that people could look at and see if they're in favor of that over the blacktop. I'm sure it would be a huge cost saving to the town because of it's just a matter of doing occasional repairs. We could eliminate all the additional practices for stormwater runoff because it's a pervious layer, and we'd be exempt from having to do any kind of stormwater work.
And so in your opinion, with other work that we have to do, this would be affordable for the town? To pave
With
the
the-
northern
with-
end of Maple?
Paving or millings?
Either or, both?
It might be a project that would go out to bid. We're pretty hard pressed to get the work that we have right now. We've got
I know.
a lot to do.
The engineering that you have now, how old is it, and have there been any new regulations that have come into effect since that engineering was prepared?
Since the original, they've gotten a little stricter, but like I said, if we considered using millings, all of those restrictions would be overlooked because it is a pervious surface, and we could circumvent that entirely.
Well, you are busy, so I would say that number one, if you can be in touch with the DEP and ascertain that this is doable and then can follow up from there. I think that,
They're
I don't
suit-
want you to go to any.
They
Yeah.
are suitable. We've
Okay.
gone that route.
Okay.
Yep.
Mike, just real, what is a road that has millings? Do you have one off the top of your head that we could check out?
Pugsley Road,
It's closed.
won't be soon, be open for the season.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you allowed, I'm sorry, are you allowed to drive on Pugsley Road? It says road closed,
We're not responsible for anything that happens during that period of time.
but it's not trespassing if
No.
if you
No,
drive on.
no.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Okay. So you're going to get us, let's leave this, that you're going to get figures together on the northern, paving the northern end of Maple Road.
I will
Is
do
that
that.
right? Okay.
Did you say paving or milling?
Well, you can, I would suggest both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, is that what the board
I
thinks?
thought, well,
Millings and paving. I mean, I hate to give up on Kelly, but if that's
Yeah,
not
it's-
going to work.
I would strongly suggest put millings down, see how that flies, and if it works, pave it a year or two later.
Well, no, we need cost,
you
we
would-
need
I think
estimates.
then you would have to
With
go
the
the DEP
engineering.
route, right? With
you'd have to
millings,
put
you're
in the
saying it's
drainage.
pervious, so you wouldn't have to do all the drainage.
Yeah,
No.
so try that first.
That, and we have some of them available, and there are other places around. There's a couple of piles that people are looking at, other towns and state looking to get rid of. So they would essentially be free material. It would just be a matter of transporting them to the job site and loading them and transporting.
Right, if
So
you want to
it's-
get us estimates, but I would suggest then, you will want to have a meeting where people can speak out on whether they, how they feel about the milling / paving / everything. So to give everyone an opportunity.
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay.
And are we not going to look into the Kelly Road?
Not now.
Okay, well,
When I spoke
would-
to you,
I
you
would-
felt
I
it would
I
be-
would suggest if we went the millings route, do the same portion that we had just talked about, the north end from the paved portion on the Carmel end to Enoch and the intersection at Enoch. And see how the public sentiment is with them.
Right.
I
I think we
can tell
should
you-
come prepared about, I think it makes sense, and I'll probably be the one to look into this, just to see about Kelly and where, I understand Willis's, I remember it I remember it well, but I'll look into that. And if you can get us estimates on the millings, and then we can have a public kind of hearing about it and see what the residents feel.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
All right.
I just have a couple quick things, and I'll whistle through these. There are concerns that I have that I'm reaching out to the town board for a little help with. They include illegal parking throughout our storms. It's been a extremely good winter so far, but we're getting into the winter area, and we're having to get out more than, and who knows what the rest of the winter will bring. And we need to get these cars off the road. We have laws that can be enforced. They were once before, a couple of years ago. We had a code enforcer who went out and put on warnings first and tickets afterward, and it was highly effective. We just need to do more sections of town. We're having continued problems with what we call plow out, shovel outs. We work diligently to clear the roads, and we come back a couple hours later to check our roads, and people shovel their driveways entirely out into the road. Some we can't even drive over them. If in this past storm, it was so cold, got so cold after the storm, that the ones we weren't able to get back to just froze in the road, and some of them are even there now because people are driving over them. They've created hard pack, and they're still there. Very, very dangerous. If it's on a long, there's never really an appropriate place for a person to clean their car off in the middle of a freshly plowed and salted road, or to shovel their driveway or plow their driveway out, or across the road. And across the road, it's illegal. It's against town statute and it's against state statute to plow across the road. And we have where the buildups of plowed snow, extend out into the roadway, they freeze solid and they create an awful hazard. And fortunately, this is televised, and for the people who do see this, I'd like to mention for them as well, is it's a liability to themselves. If there is an accident or a personal injury, the person that put the snow there could be held liable for the injuries. We need to have that stopped. Another last thing, water. We've had for years, as long as I've been there, I've been fighting as many as possible. And I think we discussed this briefly at the last town board meeting, was I need to look toward our code enforcement officers to resolve these people that the pipes right to the roadway, and in years past it may not have been as big of a problem as it is this year, but because we got a grandiose amount of rain this whole year, the groundwater level is extremely high. So many of these pipes that only run in the summertime are now running into the winter. And when the roads get cold, we have massive icing. We have complaints about them at bus stops. We have many of them up on Brewster Heights. We have elderly people where the water's coming out on the road, running down the edge of the road in front of their mailboxes. We've got letters from these people that explain the hazards, and I think they could be addressed a little better by our code enforcement. I have worked with a handful of people who have received notices and have come to the highway department where there is a storm sewer system in that area. I work very closely with them to see if we can get it piped safely into a catch basin or into one of our pipes. We need to get this done. We can't go out 2-3 times a day salting ice spots that are created by illegal dumping. And last thing I'd like to discuss is, we've talked about this a little bit before. I, at the highway department, often have a need for, daily we have a need for a secretary. And my secretary, whether she takes a vacation, gets ill, whatever the case may be that she can't make it, I need someone to answer the phones. In many cases, if it's for an extended period of time, not long ago we had a problem with the payroll. In the past, Tony's secretary, Chris, has been trained in doing payroll. She's trained in doing our bills. She's extremely knowledgeable, that kind of stuff. Doesn't have to be all the time. If it was only for half a day now and then to come in, answer the phone, call residents for certain problems that we have. I just don't have time for it all. Many of that stuff gets piled up to when Nancy gets back, and it's unfair for her to come in and find a foot-high pile of bills on her desk and have to get through that. So if we could come to some resolution of that, I would appreciate it.
The resolution on that takes part on your part. If you can search through the internet, put an ad in the paper, hire someone, and there's money probably within your budget to do that.
Okay, so we're gonna hire a new individual instead of using the one that we utilized for
My
the last 5
secretary
years?
is my secretary. I am utilizing her, and she's doing many tasks here at Town Hall.
That's fine.
And she's not available.
That's fine.
And just also to add that I did speak after we had our weekly meeting, I spoke to the code enforcement officer, so he is aware he's aware of everything you just discussed, okay, just so you know.
Very good.
And you might want to follow it up with an email, but he also mentioned, Michael mentioned that we should, and we want to warn people first. I agree with that, was very successful, putting warnings out and then ticketing. But he's also felt we might need a towing company, a designated towing company, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I just wanted to mention it, so, thank you. And he is aware of these problems.
I think Mike did follow up with an email, and I believe that Tony even responded and forwarded to Michael
Yeah.
Levine to look into it.
Yeah, I know, I will. So,
All right.
okay.
Back to the part-time secretary, maybe there's a firm or something that has that type of service because it would be extremely difficult to get a part-time person to come in 2 hours 1 week, maybe not work for 3 weeks. That's why it always worked out so well, that it was a town employee that got shuffled to another position. But thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Mike.
Any questions?
No, but just so you know, I did offer, I mean, I know my schedule's a little bit all over the place, especially now, but, you know, I can come in to answer phone if you do need any help. And
Okay. Well, thank
I'm
you.
free, because,
We-
well, I'm not free because the town's paying my salary, but, or the taxpayers are, but I'd be happy to help out anytime.
Thanks,
If I'm
thanks for the
available.
284 agreement. That's
Yep.
great. Yeah,
Okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hi, Peter Bell. I was just curious, Maple Road, is the paving, the milling, the Kelly Road, is that going to be paid for by the town? Or is that going to be paid for by residents of Enoch Crosby?
Town,
That is a town expense.
town road.
That's why we want to have, you know, we'd love to hear from everybody. We will have a large meeting about it so that everyone can express
I
themselves.
mean, does the majority of the town board think we should do something with Maple Road?
Something should be done.
I'm just saying that, you know, I
It
understand.
may be a majority, it's not unanimous, I would say, it's fair
I
to say.
think the town board wants to hear what
Yeah.
the people want
Yeah.
to happen and also want to know what the expenses are and what the options are. I think
Right.
that's what we want to know.
Yeah, I think that is the best way to go about this, is to really price everything out and see what's possible, so.
Agreed.
Last time it was almost 50-50, so it's gonna be a flip of a coin, or
Okay. So we'll-
whatever it may
we'll
be.
see.
Just the new thing with the milling sounds very interesting, sounds the least expensive
Right,
and possibly the quickest thing to get done.
right.
And if they like it, they realize it's not as bad as what they think if it's paved, then you put blacktop on top of it.
Thank you.
Till-
Yeah, I'd like to know what the millings might do to the bottoms of cars, you know.
Well, we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. I make a motion now to go to the regular portion of the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take care. Okay, waive the reading of the correspondence. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the approval of the voucher list, $1,248,326.24. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Set of meeting dates and public hearings. All meetings will be held at 1360 Route 22, Bristol, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, February 7th, 2019. Thursday, February 28th, 2019. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, resolution, Independent Sewer Works, Inc., the rates. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby establishes the annual revenue permitted to Independent Sewer Works, Inc., to be $580,627, $1,000, by the way. And the rates charged to individual ratepayers shall be calculated and designated as to the apportioned 82% based upon square foot occupancy of each ratepayer within the area served by ISW, and 18% upon water consumed by each such ratepayer in accordance with the table annexed hereto, made a part hereof as Schedule A, as the same may be amended from time to time based upon change in tenants, occupancies, and be further resolved to the extent necessary to support the foregoing findings. The town board hereby readopts and reincorporates herein by reference the decision determining the revenue requirement and rates of Independent Sewer Works, Inc., which has been in effect, shall be deemed effective June 9, 2016, non-pro. I usually have, where's Liz when I need her? And be further resolved that the town clerk shall and is hereby authorized and directed to mail a certified copy of this resolution to each of the ratepayers of Independent Sewer Works, Inc. forthwith. So moved for discussion.
Second.
I want to thank the participants that got this done. It's been out there for quite some time, and resolutions such as this are the best. So moved. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 5. It's a resolution authorizing the town of Southeast to participate in New York State Archives Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund Shared Services Grant with Putnam County. Resolved that the town board authorizes the town of Southeast to participate in the New York State Archives Local Government Records Management Improvement Shared Services Grant proposal with the County of Putnam. And now therefore it be resolved that the town of Southeast hereby authorizes the town clerk to work with the County of Putnam and participate in any meetings and/or workshops pursuant to this grant application. The project cost to our municipality for 2018 is zero, and for 2019 and beyond will not exceed the annual licensing fee for needed software, and this will be minimal charge. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
All right, this is to hopefully archive our
Yes.
records that we have, so this would be a great thing for, definitely for Michelle and for the town, so just wanted to make sure that's what we're talking about.
We are.
Is it going to be more work for you?
It'll be much easier. It's
Yeah.
better for the public, too.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 6, it's a resolution to support the CBA member. Early this evening, we had a meeting here in the town, interviewed 6 very well-qualified candidates. And again, we only could pick one. Resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby appoints Andres Gill to fill the unexpired term of Mary Alice Shallow due to expire December 31, 2020, and is hereby is further resolved that the appointment shall take effect immediately upon taking and filing the appropriate oath of office and aforesaid appointee with the clerk of the town of Southeast. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, supervisor's annual report, there's none this evening. We're closing out the books from 2018, and hopefully we'll have that report. I don't think we'll have it ready for the February 7th meeting, but by February 20th, we'll have it for the next supervisor's report.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Recognition of the public.
My name is Michael Bruin.
I'm just going to set a little parameter this evening so you're aware. This is a public comment period. We'll listen to your comments and recommendations, suggestions, and questions. And if we don't have an answer, we will respond to you at the next meeting.
All right, then I'd like to see if we can find some common ground. Is anyone on the town board in disagreement that violations of state rights should not be tolerated? So we can agree on that?
Violations of the state rights, like,
Yeah, of New York state rights, not federal rights, New York state rights. That the violations of those rights shouldn't be tolerated.
We will get back to you on that one.
No, we all agree that it shouldn't be
We
tolerated.
can't all agree because he
but-
just got
but-
back, but I understand there's a few people that will.
No, we all agree that they shouldn't be violated, but,
Well, essentially, I'm just trying to find common ground, because if we can't find any common ground, there's no need for me to even discuss anything right now.
Then, look, there's no need for common ground. You're allowed to come up here, make comment. We will listen to what you have to say and respond back to you in writing.
Essentially,
or-
what I'm looking for is reparations for recent dealings that I'll be discussing. The most recent being the massive disrespect and the illegally denied FOIL request that I tried to pick up as of yesterday.
Okay, let me deal with this right
I
now.
hope you will.
Anything doing with the FOIL request for the town clerk, I am now suggesting to you to contact the New York State Committee on Open Government.
I have.
Department of State, 1 Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, Suite 650, Albany, New York, 12231. Contact Robert J. Freeman, Executive Director, telephone number 518-474-2518, fax 518-474-1927, and email through the website www.dos.ny.gov. Would you like to hand that to him? And that's how that would be resolved.
It won't, because I've spoken to Mr. Freeman's assistant and verified just before I went to pick up the FOIL request that, number one, I do have the legal right to both inspect information prior to purchase and only purchase that which I see necessary.
Again, we would like to see something in writing in that direction.
So you're putting proof of burden on me rather than following up yourself and what the law actually
We have
demands.
already followed up on the law, and we believe we are accurate in our assessment of what's transpired. If Mr. Freeman will write you a letter to what was discussed in this town board.
I believe I've already quoted it as per the law
I'm not
in
asking-
emails to Ms. Stancotti, quoting the law.
Okay, continue.
Well, I would need a rebuttal for that.
We're going to respond to you at a later date. We're going to check up on any questions you asked this evening.
I
Okay?
know there's been some disagreement, but I believe that Ms. Stancati at least told you, if you don't agree with whatever, just simply tell her what it is you don't agree with, and I believe she was willing to refund you your money back. I'm not sure if you've done that. I know at least she made the offer at the last meeting. I don't
She
know
did.
since that time if you've taken the time to review the paperwork and say, here, you owe me $3, you know.
There was the alleged statement of her at the initial time of me picking up the last FOIL request. Once again, I was at that board meeting looking for a refund. Once again, no one had offered it. I showed specifically duplicates of those copies. No one has contacted me to say, okay, what do you have? In an email prior,
No,
I
but
specifically,
believe Michelle
hold
said
on, I'm not done. I specifically stated in an email showing duplicates and the numbers on the pages. So even if it was only two, and I only gave 2 examples, you owe me 50 cents. Where was the offer of the refund?
I believe Michelle said if you come into the office and show her that she'd be happy to
Right.
refund
Well, I
you.
already did it through email.
Wait.
You had verifiable proof that there are duplicates. Even if I only showed 2, I did my part, showed the duplicates, and was not offered a refund, besides slightly verbal. Should I have to ask for that refund more than once?
No,
more
what
than
you need
twice?
to do is provide her, she already, last time you went into this a big disarray about coming in and coming to a bulletproof glass window. If you have a duplicate copy, a blank copy, she's already offered to do that. It's in email form. She has it written. Bring it into her tomorrow. Bring it her the day after. It was just Saturday, so wait until Monday. Bring it in. If there's a duplicate copy, she will refund that difference. If there's a so-called blank copy, she will refund your difference.
But at the last board meeting, Ms. Stancotti viciously lied and made up stories that she handed me the papers, that I was, in fact, I'll quote from the last
Okay,
board
you know,
meeting.
this is not going further. You're not
Well,
going
no,
to.
it is.
No, you are not going to be doing
Would you
that.
like me to provide proof
Proof of what?
of the vicious lies?
Yeah, I think, Mike, if
What-
you're not satisfied, put it in writing,
No,
exactly what the
no,
issues
that is
are.
not going to happen, and I'll explain to you why. I have placed many things in writing to the town board as of recently, none of which any emails have been responded to, with the exception of 2. They were responded to by Mr. Hay. 2 emails had an accumulation of response of 2 words.
Why don't you summarize all your grievances?
I have. In fact, one of the
Excuse
emails
me,
was a
excuse
final
me,
summation.
Let me finish now. Why don't you summarize all your grievances in an email and send it to us? And we'll respond to that.
I can't believe that when you haven't responded to anything I have ever sent.
Well,
Anything to do
All
with
right,
FOIA.
Mr.
Look
Lord,
at,
have you
hey,
specifically responded to any email I have ever sent that has been addressed to you?
anything concerning a FOIL.
they were,
Mr. Hay,
Mr.
Hay, I'm
No,
talking.
I am speaking right
No,
now.
I believe I asked Mr. Lord a question. He has the ability to respond to that.
you sent the emails to the town board, and a member of the town board answered your emails, so I didn't feel a need to.
But they were individually addressed. The statements were made, sent to Mr. Hay. Mr. Hay then copied every single person on there. They were addressed to Mr. Hay and to whom it may concern. It concerns the entire town board. If you thought the address of all those emails summed up in 2 words was an adequate address, that's wrong.
I stated earlier, anything to do with a FOIA request that you are asking, I am asking you to contact the state FOIL officer. You have the information, file your complaint with them. It's not going any further with this town board.
So what you're telling me is you're not interested in the truth. There were
No,
vicious
no,
lies
it's
stated,
what you
and I
consider-
have the ability to prove them as vicious lies today. I have an actual
We are
recording
not
of
going-
when I
we are
picked it
not
up.
going
So
there.
you're not going to allow the public to view on camera.
No, we're
The
going
fact-
to deal on, I know you want to be on camera. I guess you want to be on a reality show. Now, listen.
No, I could care
If
less.
you
What I
want, if
want
you
is
want
the
to come
truth.
back, if you want to come back provide us with whatever. I'm telling you
Okay,
right now,
so I have your word that when I provide you with this information,
her vicious lies,
absolutely.
yes.
And the fictitious stories that were fabricated.
Oh,
that when
I just can't wait to see this.
Well, you're not gonna see it, you're gonna hear it.
No, we're not gonna hear it, we're gonna see it.
It's an audio recording that you will hear.
An audio recording.
Yes,
Oh, you tape recorded something she said?
absolutely, which I can prove to you tonight, that the fabricated story that she made up, as per allowing me to preview it, that I stated, that I can quote from her, "I don't have time, I paid for it and left." I can
don't-
prove to you that
ooh.
that is false
Well, maybe-
tonight on audio recording.
Mike, I think if you have an issue with what's gone on, you should file an Article
Yeah,
78.
at this point in time, without a doubt. If you have that type of information, I
That's your
strongly
right.
suggest you do it. We have tons of
So you would rather waste the taxpayers' dollars?
We're not gonna be wasting
with-
taxpayers'
We don't
money, because
wanna
we gotta
waste
get
the
this
taxpayers'
resolved,
dollar.
and right now, you're wasting taxpayers' dollars. So move
No.
on to the next issue, file the Article 78, please. Go.
It's
What's
very
next?
interesting that you won't listen to any facts.
Mike, I think
Your
what we're,
facts.
I think what we're saying, Mike, is that we've all looked at this, we've all read everything. If you still think that there's an issue and you don't think that we've handled it, then file a grievance. You know, we have a difference of opinions on what happened.
But the difference of opinion, my story, their story, can be settled right now by listening to an audio recording of what actually happened.
I
That
don't
I
think
was
I'm-
not allowed to preview it, that I never stated the thing she says I stated, that I was never offered a refund as
We-
she alleges.
We're not going there. I'm gonna tell you right now, there's
I-
enough email back and forth to prove what we have done as a town is whole and true. If you want to file the Article 78, do it. We're not gonna have a jury trial here this evening or any evening. You will file an Article 78, and I believe we will win. Go ahead, what's
Yeah, but
next?
it's interesting that through email, you allowed me to come to this forum, which you agreed to.
Yes, we
to-
did.
To
Make
validate the
comment, and
points.
we were told you we would get back to you.
That's actually not what you said. What I said was quite drastically different.
And we didn't agree what you drastically
Well,
said.
you never said that. Your statements making bold claims of, I said I'll be at a town board meeting, what you described was a town board meeting for your approved meeting place. You
This
agreed,
is a-
you
this is
didn't
a
even
town-
agree to discuss it
You know,
until I
we're-
prompted you once again to say, is this a suitable meeting? All you said was, we'll see you at the board meeting. Obviously, because I
And
told
you
you
are
I would
here,
be at the
and
board.
you have been given an opportunity now under the comment period to make comments. We'll listen to your comments, and we'll get back to you on
Well,
any
I would
issue.
hope that someone from the media will see this and listen to the recordings and understand that you have absolutely no reason to,
And I hope
not
that
listen to
same,
the
I hope
truth.
that same gentleman from the media will stop by the town clerk's office tomorrow, let him view all the material that she has, which proves what your claim is not to quite be as true as you say.
what am I
So let's
claiming that's
move
not,
on.
what am I claiming that's not
We
true?
are not going there. We're
Well, you just
done.
brought it there.
No, we
So
are
what am
done.
I- what am I
Mr.
claiming that's not
Bruin,
true?
Mr. Bruin, we're done with that subject. Move on to the next item.
Okay, I'd like to discuss your investigation on a very serious claim I made against
Okay,
the
now
town
we're gonna
attorney.
deal with that one. You ready? You state in your email to us, okay, with Mr. Hay, perhaps my chain of command etiquette is slightly off, but I felt this was a matter that could be dealt with on a lower level, which doesn't make sense to me, but then the town board. You recommended New York State Bar Association or a public integrity complaint with the New York State Attorney General, and I look forward greatly to hearing from you. I recommend, this board recommends, that's where you go with that. We are not going any further with that complaint either. We've reached an impasse on that. We have done our interview. We feel that what we've done is proper. If you think not, bring it to the next level.
So do you have?
Next item.
Do you have
Next
proof?
item.
This is the next item.
No.
Do you have proof of the investigation?
I will respond to that when we're sued by you. Yes, we'll do what we have to do at the time.
Then I will FOIL request it. I don't have to sue
You're
you
not
to
gonna
get that
foil
information.
anything. You already foiled everything. You're not getting anything.
So you're admitting that there is information that you won't give up until I sue,
No,
although I
you're not.
already FOIL requested it, and you're breaking FOIL law yet again.
We're not breaking foil.
Well, I think what Mr. Hayes said in his writing to you was that he conducted interviews of the individuals that you were complaining of, including myself.
Yes.
And the stories were dramatically different than what you had presented.
Correct. The statements were my allegations
Right.
were
You asked for
drastically different.
depositions. There were no depositions taken, as far as I know.
From what I understand and what was been stated, because it's an informal investigation, although serious allegations were made.
And we're telling you at this point in time, we did what we thought was responsible, we did, and now you don't believe in what we have done? We're never
I
gonna
don't,
agree
because
on
there
it.
may
We've
be an
reached an
audio
impasse,
recording of
and
the
the
events
only
that took
place for
place
you to
that will
take it is,
corroborate my story as well.
I
That's
just read,
silence, exactly, thank you.
I just identified where to take that. That's where it belongs, not with this town board.
So essentially, it was entirely a ruse to get me down here to discuss points that you had no intention of
You
discussing.
were invited to come to meet with Supervisor Hay and another couple of people, but you said, I'm going to be here tonight, so this would probably be a better venue. And we agreed, okay, it's a better venue. So nothing has been denied you.
I believe it has, and none of the facts I have will be allowed to be presented.
We've asked,
We're
we've
not denying
said
you
that you can
anything.
present what you have.
Unfortunately, I find it imperative that the public become aware of the information that I have, which is all being stifled by the members in front of me.
No, you have ample time to make all your comments. We're listening to your comments.
Will my comments be published
How?
Public?
They're being.
in some form on the town's website?
Yeah,
allowing-
They're
they're in the
on
minutes.
No, they're not, because the entirety, instead of going gavel to gavel, which is why you're not allowed to record in a courtroom, you're picking and choosing.
You can
You're
record.
making
No,
me look
you
like
can
a vicious
record.
liar.
No,
Well, I understand,
the whole-
this isn't a courtroom.
This is an audio and video.
This is a
record.
room in which court occurs. There is no court in session. This is not a courtroom. This just happens to be a room where court also occurs.
Like, the whole meeting's recorded. I'm not sure what your point is.
Right, and I don't believe we've stifled you at all. And to everybody's point here, I mean, I read last night 44 pages of emails that went back and forth, and I'm still a little confused about, with all due respect, what's your point? You say that we're not giving you FOIL requests, we do. You're not satisfied with those, we give you an option, we tell you whatever it is. Well, do the homework, just come back to us, tell us what was wrong, we'll refund you the money. You still haven't done that, but yet you still say that Ms. Stankati's not giving you what you want, and that we haven't given you the refund. Just, all we're
Right, but
saying is,
even in all
tell me, Ed, here you go. I printed it out for you, it's 15 pages, it equals $13, and then I can help facilitate that. But, if you haven't brought that to me, I don't know what else you want. I really don't.
If you've also gone through any of those emails that have been sent, anything that ends in question mark was never responded to in any fashion, whether it was to Ms. Stankati specifically asking direct questions. It completely ignored.
I think it's subjective, and I think that it was answered many times and maybe in different ways, maybe not to your satisfaction, but I do believe that you did receive a response. As they say sometimes, let's agree to disagree, and.
A response of received is not a response. I believe this goes far deeper. I believe the Attorney General will be amazingly interested in the
Will you
corruption in front
please
of me.
do that and cut threatening it? Just do it,
Like,
please.
if you're not satisfied, there's things that you can do. I think what we're saying is we feel comfortable with the way that things happen, and if you're not satisfied, you have every right to pursue that.
I'm trying to save the taxpayer.
You are,
thousands
you'll be
of
saving
dollars.
the taxpayers' money. Look it, the bottom line is, you were issued a violation under chapter
No,
103.
erroneous. It has nothing to do with this.
Oh, yes, it does,
The one conviction I've ever had in the town of Southeast
so far, yes.
so far, what does that mean?
Well, you have others out there.
Such as?
I've gone through, look it, you have been violated. You received 6 summonses for a food truck parked illegal.
7, but 6 were thrown out of court with prejudice. Thanks for
You didn't let
playing.
me finish it. Okay, yes, 6 got thrown out because our court officer, not court officer, our code enforcement officer could not make it. It was dismissed. Then the very last one, which was in May of 2017, was issued, or was it 2018?
It doesn't matter at this point.
Yes, it
Continue
does.
on.
Yes, it does, because you came up here the last time and cited all these laws. But the only one you didn't cite for some reason was the one you got fined on, went to court, and lost. The judge made the decision. We didn't make the decision, the judge made the decision.
That's fine. That wasn't up
And
for
what it
debate. I wasn't
stated-
debating the fact
and
that
what
it
it
was
stated-
parked overnight.
And what you stated, say it again?
I said I never disputed the fact that I was parked overnight. I was found in violation, haven't done it again.
Oh, so what's the problem then?
You have the problem. That
No,
was
we-
never
no,
brought
no,
up.
no, we
You're-
don't
you're
have the
trying-
problem. You're
You're trying to slander me right now and again,
How am I
hurt my
slan- how is there-
reputation,
there's no slander.
hurting me and saying I'm a
There's
liar.
no- There's no, I didn't call you a liar.
Well, you are. You're trying to pick and choose of
No,
which points
no,
I
no.
make, which
Nobody
points I
called you a
don't, to give
liar. No.
myself a better light in the town's
That's why I'm glad
eyes.
these are tape recorded. That's why it's better to be done here, so we can go back and listen to the tape.
Well, we can go
Now,
back and listen to
it
many
says
things.
here, food trucks shall be removed from the permitted location within 1 hour after closing and shall not be returned to the permitted location more than 1 hour before the permitted opening time on any given day. There shall be no overnight parking of food trucks of any permitted location. Now, not only that, after you were found guilty by court, you were up there parking and doing it again. It's not there today, wasn't there yesterday, and you were up there numerous times. They could have wrote you 100 tickets, but they didn't. They wrote
No,
6.
they could not have written me 100
Sure they could
tickets.
have. You were parked up there day after day
So
after
you're
day,
telling me
month
for
after month.
1/3 of a year.
Pardon?
So you're telling me for nearly 1/3 of a year.
You were parked there for many, many moons.
Many, many moons in a row. And you have proof to back this up. You have photos, you have the tickets issued to me, because
Well,
I
we-
find
we-
that
we have-
if
we
I
have-
was wrong in this once, why wouldn't you write it to
We
me
had, we
again?
had the tickets issued.
I don't know.
Okay, look it.
Thank you, Mr. Lord.
You have to, you've been told, you have the New York State Attorney General, whoever you want to go to there, and go to the Freedom of Information, go to Mr. Friedman, and file your complaint there, and we'll be responding to it accordingly. Thank you.
Yeah, you will, because
Thank you.
once you're proven for lying and breaking the town ethics code in violation of state as well, I believe there will be
I can't
many
wait,
issues
I
that go
can't
farther
wait
than
to see
this.
the lies. We will see you
The
soon. Thank you.
lies. My God, you're a vicious person. You need to be taken out of office.
Well, I won't make a comment today. Okay, anyone else from the public? Town board members?
I have nothing.
I have nothing either.
Okay, motion to entertain.
I'll make a motion, we close tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.